Well, welcome to Robert's Train Set, and as you can see here, I've bought a new loco. And I bought this Bachmann Class 31 Deluxe because of the unique uncoupling hook, or at least for the British market. Came in its normal box, delivered reasonably quickly, free postage, and it was secure in the box, is what I'll say. And to be honest, not a lot of bubble wrap used, which was quite good. Nice to have the box the right size. So although this is a bit of an unboxing, it's more about the uncoupling, I think, and how I'm going to use it, and does it work. So you can see normal box it came in, and here's the information on the back of the box if you want to read it. You can actually read it. And these are the function lists, this obviously being a sound fitted. And there are actually 28 functions, blimey. But there's also the accessory pack, which looks quite comprehensive, I must admit. I might get it out and show you later on. Unfortunately, there was also a loose buffer in the box, and that came off of the locomotive, and I'll show you it in a minute. It came off of there, look, there's no buffer. So I just pushed it into the hole. I didn't glue it, and it did go in and it has stayed, but it hasn't gone in as well as the ones that hadn't fallen out. So I might have to look into that a bit more. But it's a nice loco, and I quite like the BR blue, I must admit. Yeah, great. And this is what all the fuss is about, you know, the auto uncoupler. So will it work? And are there any things you can't do with it? So a few photos. You can see the detail even without the lights on, if you've got enough light showing. The fan does work, but you can't control it on DCC. It just comes on and does what it wants to do. And did it work? Well, we'll have a look, shall we? I did have a few problems, more of my own making than Bachmann's, I would say. But it's a nice model with I like the finish. So here we are, everybody, in the conservatory alongside the layout, and here is the fiddle yard, really. Though, you know, I am going to scenic it up a bit. And sitting on the rails is our new Class 31 from Bachmann. And I'm going to show you a little bit of it running. Now, this has run a little bit because I had to sort out that it all worked. And I did have a few problems, as I said in my commentary just now. And I'll just explain that a bit. But a lot of this is, I bought this specifically for this layout, although it will obviously run upstairs, because of the uncoupling. So I'll just show you some of the things that you can do with this and some of the things you can't do with this. And a lot of that is down to what couplings you're using. So let's start her up and we'll see how she runs. So as I said, she has run, but she's still on number 3 and I've not adjusted anything. So this is how she came out the box. And she is very smooth. I can hear some engine noise, or I can hear some noise. Not a lot, but a little bit. Might be better when it's run in. So next, let's go and have a look at the really slow running. So this is as slow as I could get her to run. And pretty smooth at that speed as well. It would take a long time to go along this layout at this speed, wouldn't it? So did she do it in reverse? Yes, of course she did. And now the sound, and that was the lights going on, which you can't really see. So next, does the hook work? And as you can see, yes it does. Absolutely super.
Squeeze up.
Lovely. But I had a trouble with this when I first did it, so I'll explain that a little bit more, but here's the fan going. So I didn't set my control computer right, so a little bit on that now, and then we'll carry on. So here we are at the Rail Master control screen, and you can see in the right hand side at the bottom the class 31. But to get those functions into it, we need to go to this screen, and you scroll down your locos and click on it, and it will bring up the list of functions, and you have to put all these in. It's no different to any other computer based. But if we look down at numbers 11 and 12, it's the uncoupling, and it's telling you that it needs to go on and off. A lot of them don't need to, so I hadn't put this right. I tried to write so much in that the last F on the off wasn't working, so it wouldn't work. So a bit annoying, as you can imagine. But there we are. We learn. So before I show some of these working, we need to have a little bit of a bit on these different couplings. So let's go and have a go at that, shall we? So here are all our couplings, and obviously the big D one is the same as the fixed ones on the older locos and rolling stock. So I never realised how different some of these small Ds were, but you can see that these three are really quite different in their profiles, their lengths and whatever. And this was causing a problem. And if you look at the coupling on the Bachmann class 31, it's like this. So we have one like that, but to be safe, just don't have the hook in. But I used to keep all my types here like this, but now with this, I've now had to do another dish to show all the different types. So there's 3 different types of those small Ds. There we are. So this daypole wagon, the heights are different, as you can see. That time it worked, but this time it didn't. So the safe way is to do it without the lever in it, to be honest. So this is the Bachmann guards van, and this time it did work okay. So what of the fixed big D couplers? So as you can see, this was never going to work, and the obvious thing to do is obviously just put the D without the lever, which is what I did, and this works reasonably well. And again, you know, different heights. So this means if I want to run any of my rolling stock with the fixed big D couplings, I have to cut the hook off, which I've done on this coach, which on this low speed layout is probably all right. But if I run these up in the loft on the faster one, will they uncouple because they'll only have one hook? Only time will tell. So I'm going to run this into the station and we'll try and do a run around, shall we? But this time, rather than using my fixed uncouplers on the layout, we use the locos one. So as the train departs, the pastures new, you may have noticed in the running of this that the loco stutters from time to time. So what I'm going to show you in a few little while is what happened when I tried to get this train to leave the platform. And this is a bit of a problem with a diesel this size. Don't have this sort of problem with any of my others, so I don't quite know what happens. But after this, my thoughts. Well, everybody, I feel because this is such a major innovation on the British market, this Bachmann Class 31 is the first, I would think, of possibly many with this type of uncoupling system on. And although there are obviously other systems around the world for their own particular type of coupling, I believe this is probably the first for the decoupling. Now, I think first of all, what is it as a model? Well, I think it's a nice model. There have been some comments about the finish on the paintwork, and what I'd say with this is I think it's absolutely super. Also some comments on having it in shiny. Well, you know, some manufacturers charge more for having a gloss finish. This isn't really gloss, but it's a nice sheen. I like it, and I don't really go in for weathering, so this will stay as it is. The detail is fine. I'm wondering whether the Acura Scale 1 will have a bit more detail. It's difficult to tell. When you look at other varieties of this, other liveries, it looks different, doesn't it? So, you know, having the BR blue, it's just a basic finish, isn't it? And it sort of dulls everything down. But I like it, you know, and you know, the detail on it is fine as far as I'm concerned. So, really, this has all been about these couplings, hasn't it? And does it work? Well, yes, I think it does work. There are hurdles to overcome. Namely, you need perhaps a right coupling, so probably a Bachmann coupling, I would imagine. And maybe the other manufacturers' couplings aren't the same, but they might work, they might not. The safest way is obviously to just have that, to be honest, whether in the small or the big, and then it will work. The biggest problem is the height of the coupling itself, and we've always had trouble with that, haven't we? And as you saw, the daypole wagons, they were different. Even Bachmann's own brake van was different. So that could be a major hurdle to use in this system, you know, on a lot of different rolling stock. I use JDs. I'll get it in the picture. And as you saw in my last video, if you saw it, I have got arrangements in this new end-to-end to get these to uncouple, namely under track magnets, and they work very, very well. I've also come up with a system for the big Ds, and maybe even this type, but if you have this type in a wagon or a loco, you can usually swap it for something else, probably the JDs. But for the big ones, you know, I didn't want to cut them all out. I didn't want to buy all the stuff to do it and then all the time to do it. So I came up with a system of magnets, which isn't my idea. I mean, there's loads of them, but it seems to have worked quite well. The one thing that is difficult with all those systems is getting it in line to actually get it to operate. The magnets especially, because even though I've got maybe 3 in a row, you've got to get it about right. The under track magnets are so big really that it's quite good, but you still need to know where they are. With this system, you can do it anywhere, assuming it's working. And I think if Bachmann bring out a new 08 with this system on, it'll be alright to game changer, won't it? You'll be able to uncouple whatever you want with no problems, hopefully. Yes, there are systems for these. I think they're more for JDs, but this is ready to run, which is what I like. I like ready to run logos. I get it always with the sound in and it's all working. Lazy modelers, I suppose. But yeah, so I'm sure other manufacturers are going to have to try and get some sort of system like this. If they're being charged, in this particular case, nearly £306, which is reduced from what Bachmann want to charge you it, and say an Acura scale might be 269 or something like that, you know, you're getting... The thing with this accessory is, unlike, you know, the fans going round and all the other bits, this is really, really useful. You can use it, and it makes your modelling so much easier. Absolutely, you know, and so much more satisfying that, you know, it works and you can do it. So yeah. Now, I suppose there might be one question: if it hadn't have had this system, this Bachmann 31, would I have not bought it and waited instead for the Acura scale one? Possibly, and I might still buy an Acura scale one, I don't know. But that's the thing with this, that feature really brought it to me, especially for this end-to-end. It's going to be really helpful, you know. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe and like. Likes would help. And have a look at the rest of my content if this is the first time you've seen me. Anyway, everybody, thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the new subscribers that have come on. I'm getting near me 1,500, but yeah, it's up with a few and then down with... Oh dear. We know what it's like, don't we? All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.